somehow is able to do something to us, and we to it. That to me is from the kind of like the non-Christian standpoint, that's what I would call the sacred. In the Christian tradition, I would call it the God beyond God. And the ones who talk about this are the Christian mystics, which is very interesting in Indonesia, because as I understand it, Sufi Islam was kind of responsible for Islam coming to, at least a particular version of Islam, coming to Indonesia. And there, if you look at the work of the Sufis, and you compare them with the Christian mystics, it's a very interesting sort of like connection. They also have the notion of God beyond God. So I keep wondering, maybe somewhere this is why I want to come back to Indonesia and maybe in my retirement study Sufi, because there is something that is happening actually in Indonesia. And I was saying this to my friend back in the years. I said, you know, I think the future of Christianity actually, in the world Christianity actually depends somehow on what is going to happen and what's happening in Indonesia, and how Indonesians, both Christian and Islam and others, how they handle their life together. And I really believe that. I have no evidence for that except some of these philosophical notions, like the Sufi Islam, some are deeply rooted in the tradition. It's there, overpowered sometimes by Shia and by Wahhabism, but it's there. In the Jewish tradition, it's also there in the Kabbalah. So these are sort of rumination. Other questions? Yes.
You mentioned the name of Pierre Bourdieu, and as I know, he's well known for his symbolic violence. I'm just wondering, is there any relation or impact created by a symbolic violence, or relation between symbolic violence to social capital?
Yes, so in fact, earlier in one of my slides, for Bourdieu, there is the economic, cultural, and then there's symbolic capital, and then or social capital, which is mediated through symbolic capital. Right? So the flip side of that is there is in Bourdieu there is the cultural violence, there is the social violence, and there's also symbolic violence. So yes, for Bourdieu there is this and symbolic in so the way I understand Bourdieu, symbolic is the way in which these different capital kinds of capital, and in this case different kinds of violence, become I'm using the same word, symbolized. So let's think a little bit about what would be something like symbolic violence. And I'm asking a question. By definition, what do you think? What would be something like symbolic violence? Yes.
So I do think that the example of the grain is an example of symbolic violence. And there you see all the sorts of capital coming together. So it's an interesting case. Well, maybe not the economic so much. It doesn't play very much. But the cultural capital and the social capital are at stake there. Because it has to do with networks and the power of those networks and the influence of new outside forces on the networks. Like, what was the organization that was coming into the area? Yes, Hizb ut-Tahrir. So it had to do with social capital and social conflict. But it also had to do with cultural capital and the way people in that neighborhood maybe felt how they came together and how they were threatened by what they perceived as outsiders, although they lived in the area for a long time. And it was played out in the use of symbolic violence.
So if you if you draw, if you make a drawing, so let's say this is cultural, this is social, this is economic. The symbolic capital is that which draws this together, and something that when you look at this, it actually illumines this. So what is that? Right? So that's why the question, the answer was quite useful, because it had to do with issues. So the symbolizations of life and death reflected. That's what, when Bourdieu talks about mediation, that's what he means, that it, quote unquote, reflects these. And sometimes you cannot get at these directly, except only through this. So, yes, the counterpart of the capital is the symbolic violence. But the key, I think, to understand it is what are those artifacts, or whether it's language or practice, that when you look at it, it embodies and reflects this. So if you, and it is symbolic because these ones who are here, the participants in this, actually would, quote unquote, understand it. They have a sense of what that means to them. So this, in a sense, whoever controls the symbol might have the capacity to control it, right? But a very different kind of reality. So the stoplight is an interesting, quote unquote, sign or symbol, no? Because the stoplight on the road actually is a symbol for order. It's a symbol about safety. It's a symbol about policemen. So if the light goes there on red, many of us will not cross the street because one is danger. One, we think of the policeman, we might get caught, right? So in that sense, the light is symbolic violence because it mediates the way in which we are being controlled by this light. Of course, there is a value to that, right? You have to stop. Unless, like in Indonesia, you can go like this in traffic and you will stop, right? I can tell you a story. I was in Jakarta. I was waiting to cross the street by myself, and I stood there for 10 minutes because the light. I watched the light to change. It came and then it went, and then finally somebody said, "Just go like this." No, I don't trust. There was no social capital there. The Indonesian drivers had no social capital in relation to me. I did not trust them. But it's very interesting why it is that if this was in the US, why I would trust the lights. That's got to say something about the surveillance, the control, the symbolic instance. One or two other questions? Does this all make sense to you? Or do you now have a headache? I hope that I know I approached this from a conceptual point, but as I said back then, for me, these concepts are not correct by my interpretation. I hope that the concepts that I have shared with you are concepts that allow you, that invite you to think more about your own situation. I cannot help you to think about those things because if you ask me what to do in Indonesia about social capital, I would not know how to answer the question because I do not know the context. Right? And that's why I intentionally stay away from that. But I hope that these can be the symbols for thinking that will invite your thought as you do your work in your own time and in your own space.
Just one example. Our mobile phones are talking about symbolic violence. We just often take for granted the exact actually for me it is a new kind of violence, because at times when there were no mobile phones, in a prison, there's a certain term for that. The guards will stay in the middle, and the panopticon. Yeah, exactly. That's a new. I mean, mobile phones is a new panopticon, and we just don't see it that way. We believe that our mobile phones is secure, and no one will see it, and it's private, it's mine. But in fact, it's not true at all. We are controlled. Well, we are discussing that we don't want to be controlled by anyone, any organization, any people. We are sufficient, and we are independent, and we don't want people to control us. But in fact, and we still have iPhone or Android in our hands, and it is very contradictory. I mean, for me, we are talking about freedom, etc., but we let ourselves as well symbolically being violated in its form, this kind of thing. That's for me, this mobile phones is a form of symbolic violence.
The panopticon that is being talked about, just because I mentioned this a little bit in the phrase as well as part of violence. So in many prisons, at least the ones that I know about in the US, so they're designed where the guards, they're architecturally designed so that the guards can see the prisoners, but the prisoners cannot see them. And so there is this notion of surveillance. The prisoners know that they're in their jail cells, but even more than that, they can actually be seen, so their privacy is completely violated, etc. There's an analogy to that in the global context. It has to do with that's why Michel Foucault called it the panopticon. It's like the I see you, you don't see me. You know that image? In the movie, something like that. I'm watching you. Right? And so why is it, for example, as I said, we're crossing the street, the red lights, there may not be any policeman there, but we stop because we have internalized the policeman in ourselves. My mother, so very to wake you up again. My mother, when I was growing up, always told me, because we were Baptists, very strict in terms of male-female relationships. So she always said to me, Lester, don't hold a woman's hand, a girl's hand, if you do not intend to marry her. Right? That's what my mother kept telling me when I was growing up. So here I am, I'm an adult, and I want to hold somebody's hand, but I can hear my mother, Lester, don't hold somebody's hand if you're not ready to marry. So I look at the person who's a friend of mine, do I want to marry her? No, so okay, so then I won't hold her. And if I do, then I feel guilty. It's the same thing with the classroom. Authority structures that will say, only the professor can give a grade, or only the professor can dismiss you. If you say, I'm going out, I'm going home. You might do that, but you have to convince yourself somehow that it is okay. Whereas if the professor says, I have a headache, class dismissed, there's no question, right? Or maybe some professors will ask the question. So why is that? Because in fact, part of this whole world in which we live is that there are these internal forms of discipline and punishment. And that's where the symbolic violence gets hooked. We get hooked by that. So the symbol out here hooks us eternally. So you see, that's why personal transformation is very, very important. Also, precisely because we need to let the gods of surveillance inside us die, to use that phrase. It's not just about having the capacity to put together capital, it's also looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, what has happened to us in this world where we are fighting violence. And thank God, what does that say in this was my last statement? Thank God that, you know how Paul said the things that I should do, I do not do. And the things that what is it? Something about the things that I do, I'm not a biblical scholar, so forgive me. The things that I don't want to do, I do. And the things that I should do, I don't do. Oh, wretched person that I am, who will save me from this? Thank God it doesn't happen in Jesus Christ. Right? And so to me, Jesus is not the one who's going to take away all it is the transcend. Jesus, for me, stands as the transcending moment that opens up the imprisonment that I actually experienced as a result of socialization, commodification, all of these pieces. So, a very interesting comment that the previous professor talked about, and that is that not a new theory of religion. It is, what was that? How it is that we are together, living together. That is to me the moment of transcendence, which is very, in my view, very concrete, not otherworldly. Anything else? Maybe you want to see me dance?